Well, welcome everyone to week 4 of our November online program for the alumni of the Sunshine Coast Health Center. And this month, November, we're talking about time and addiction. So far we've made the point that in active addiction, addicts look at time mainly as the present and don't pay much attention to the past or the future. Everything is the present. And this week, we're gonna look at this the struggle that a lot of clients have of transforming from just looking at things in the present to looking now at things in the future. And that's a tough one. There's no question about that. We know that therapies that work with people with addictions, the evidence-based ones, like motivational interviewing or it's motivational enhancement therapy or brief interventions, but some kind of motivational stuff. One of the reasons for their success is that they're rooted in the present and the future. And again, this is tough for someone in active addiction because they're so focused on the present that they really haven't been paying attention to the future. In fact, it's a very interesting exercise we do to try to get the fellas to imagine what their lives are going to be like in the future. And most clients here struggle tremendously with that. And again, it's because they haven't paid attention to it. Their idea of time is the present. And we ask them here to start thinking about their lives in the future, or my comment of, what do you want out of life, right? I mean, that's a tough one, right? Because now you have to start thinking in the future. And that's not been the way you've been operating, right? But all the therapies that work with addiction, or to have better success with addiction according to the research, all of these ones are saying, be alive today, but keep an eye on the future. But to keep an eye on the future, you need goals, right? You have to figure out what you truly want out of life. We have some musical instruments here, right? And some of the guys, there's one fellow just left us, he took up the piano. But if he's going to get proficient in the piano, he's going to look to the future, right? And it's going to take many hours and days and weeks and months and maybe years of practice. All that grunt work and boring stuff playing scales. But he's interested in doing this to achieve some goal in the future, right? And it's not just tomorrow, it's like way down the line, right? Yeah, and he doesn't have much experience in this because he's been operating in a world where I want things now, right? Don't wait for the future, right? So we're struggling with that. In fact, all the exercises we give you, I don't know if you remember that one we give you, Viktor Frankl's Eulogy exercise, right? So Viktor Frankl says to you, okay, pretend from this day on you've lived this fantastic life and it's 80 years old or 85 or 87, and then you pass away. And then they have your funeral and someone will read your eulogy. So the exercise is, what do you want that person to say about you? Well, this means you gotta actually think to the future, right? I mean, way years down the road, you're gonna actually have to think, well, what kind of life do I want? What kind of life is important to me, right? And this is always a struggle for people, right, who have used to live in the present, but it's an important one for the future. We had a guest the other day from another treatment facility, and I was telling him about one of our aims here was to get people to start thinking about what they want out of life. And he said, oh yeah, geez, yeah, it's so tough to get these guys to think about the future, right? Like he knew it from working with clients in his facility. A very common thing. And so a big part of recovery will be to remove yourself from just thinking about the present and start thinking about the future. Anyway, that's it for this week, and we'll be back next week with the last in our series on time.